Over the past several weeks in Hollywood, we've seen any number of personal brands in jeopardy because of the Me Too phenomenon. This week on The Brandpreneur, we discuss crisis management and what to do when it hits the fan with your brand, right here on The Brandpreneur. Hey, this is Nick F. Nelson, Brand Strategist and Creative Executive, and you are watching Brandpreneur, the place where we help you build your brand and run it like a business. Well, 2017 is almost over, and it couldn't happen fast enough for some brands. That's because in this past year, they have experienced crisis. There's no better example of this than in Hollywood, where it's been on fire, literally and figuratively. Over the past several months, there have been allegations of sexual misconduct from any number of high-profile individuals. From Harvey Weinstein, to Ben Affleck, to Kevin Spacey, and Russell Simmons. Well, I'm not too surprised about Russell Simmons. And Dustin Hoffman, Tootsie, all whose brands have been impacted because of these allegations. In 2017, crisis has not been limited to high-profile individuals. You've also had major brands that have had their fair share of crisis. From the Equifax security breach to United dragging individuals off of an airplane, brands have experienced their fair share of crisis. So today I talk to you a few minutes about what to do when it hits the fan with your brand. Now, before we talk about crisis, as we always do, I want to make certain that we have an accurate definition of what crisis actually is. Crisis, a time of intense difficulty, trouble, or danger. Or a time when a difficult or important decision must be made. Now, nobody ever wants to fall into a crisis. However, there might be something that a rogue employee or even yourself might do to cause one. When you do, there are a few steps that you should consider. They actually start prior to you even having a crisis. Number one is establishing a loyal following. Having a loyal following and or advocates can serve you very well in your times of crisis. These are individuals that can speak up for your character, that can rally behind you, that can also defend you on your behalf at those points in times in which you cannot. One example of that happens to be with Kevin Hart earlier this year. Kevin Hart, actor, comedian, very well known, very well respected. Brands love him, people love him. Well, this past year he got caught doing some stupid stuff, getting a bit too close to someone he should not have been getting close to, and all of a sudden his brand is in jeopardy. Why? Not only is he getting a little too close to someone, but at the time his wife was pregnant. The optics are terrible. On top of that, the young lady who accused him holds a press conference. Who does that? All of this in the middle of him filming a movie. So what does Kevin do? He takes to the one platform where he knows that he can address the issue and address it quickly with his fan base. That's his social media channels. He apologizes to his wife, his kids, and also his fans, and then he goes quiet. The next few times you hear from Kevin, it's just via images on his social media where he's intensely thinking, he's at work, he's not addressing the noise, but he's allowing his advocates to speak for him. Now, I'm not going to say Twitter didn't have anything to say, but guess what? A week later, Kevin is back on his social media channels almost like it never even happened. Who does that? That's because he's established advocacy. Now, I don't know how much advocacy he has at home right now, but we're not talking about that. From a brand perspective, he survived. Next, make it a habit of monitoring your brand. Go out there to the internet, Google yourself, Google your brand, and see what comes up. Get ahead of a situation before it actually becomes an issue. One tool that I love and that I've used for years is Google Alerts. I don't know if you've heard of Google Alerts, but it's a service that Google provides where you can type in and set different alerts associated with your account. And any instance that your name or the name of your brand is mentioned, an alert comes right to your inbox. This again allows you to get ahead of a situation before it becomes an issue. This helps you manage a crisis. Next, in the vein of getting ahead of a crisis before it even starts, you want to have and you need to have a crisis management plan. That crisis plan should include who's in charge, what tasks need to occur, who's doing them, what platforms will you reply on, and what will you say and how will it be said. One example of this is Home Depot. An offensive tweet came across a social media channel promoting its sponsorship with ESPN Game Day. This image showed two African American males and a monkey in the middle drumming away on Home Depot buckets. How this tweet got out, I have no clue, and neither did Home Depot. Once the offensive tweet went out, it did not take long for Black Twitter to go into a firestorm. What did Home Depot do? It quickly responded on the platform in which the incident occurred, removing the photo and then immediately making a statement saying that the agency that had posted the offensive tweet had been fired. In this instance, they did the right thing. They acknowledged the mistake, apologized for the mistake, and then took immediate action against it. Now, I'm not going to say that there's not some sort of residual effect associated with it, because there just may. But there's a difference between a bump in the road and being wiped out altogether. Now, on to an example of where it was not done as effectively. Earlier this year, Equifax had a massive security breach, which impacted millions of customers and their identity. Adweek Online did an expose about this whole incident, which I found to be quite enlightening from a crisis management perspective. In the article, it mentions how Equifax waited 6 weeks before it informed consumers of the security breach. 6 weeks. Once they did let consumers know, there was a firestorm of issues because they did not let consumers know fast enough. They effectively gave 6 weeks for hackers to use this information however they wish, all the while consumers are unaware. Next, in order to resolve the issue, they pointed consumers to a website that had any number of issues within its own right. The website was classified as a phishing website and blocked for days, further troubling consumers and causing them to feel concerned about their security, as we should have. And then to add insult to injury, on the website, they wanted you to include your social security number. Equifax inevitably took responsibility with its CEO, Richard Smith, calling the incident the most humbling incident in its 118-year-old history. I guess so. That statement was one of the last that you heard from Smith as he was fired. Smith's response was tone deaf to consumers, and a few days later he was removed. Bottom line, according to Adweek, this incident will go down as a cybersecurity turned brand disaster nightmare. Next up, if your brand is in crisis, the very best thing that you can do is to be accountable. I did it, my mistake. Now, in earlier examples, i.e. Kevin Hart, admitting that you've made a mistake and doing it quickly can help alleviate any additional extra noise. The longer you delay in admitting wrongdoing, the more opportunity you have for the crisis to continue. Or if you misplace your apology to the wrong individuals, that can cause an issue as well. Case in point, Pepsi. Pepsi, of all brands, wanted to address the issues of uniting America. So what better way to do that than through an advertising campaign featuring Kendall Jenner? That makes sense. In this advertisement, we see Jenner, who is at a photo shoot, and she is so moved by Black Lives type rally that she decides to leave her photo shoot and join in. Needless to say, this offended a lot of individuals. Most notably, Bernice King, the daughter of civil rights activist and leader Dr. Martin Luther King, and she quoted, "If only Daddy would have known about the power of Pepsi." Oof. How do you respond to that? Eventually, Pepsi pulled down the ad and extended an apology. But, get this, they apologized to Kendall Jenner. This, of course, caused further backlash for Pepsi relating to this incident, thereby extending the PR crisis that they already had. So, nobody ever wants to have a crisis. The fact of the matter is that sometimes it happens. And if it does to you, if you've done the work in advance by establishing a loyal following, if you take the time to monitor your brand, nail down a crisis plan, and lastly, if you accept accountability and you do it swiftly when an incident does occur and you are in the wrong, you just might be able to survive your crisis. Hey, this is Nick F. Nelson, and you've been watching The Brandpreneur. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. I hope that you found this information informative and that you take it in consideration. As always, if you have any questions about your brand, please feel free to email me at nick@nickfnelson.com. We're also very excited about our new syndicated partnership with online news and entertainment outlet Moxie. Please go to MediaMoxie.com and look at prior episodes of The Brandpreneur. Like I say at the conclusion of all my episodes, never be afraid to promote your business or your brand, and do it shamelessly. You take care.